Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today, we're reacting to the Pittsburgh Steelers Week 3 victory over the Los Angeles Chargers, with a final score of 20-10. It was an exciting game, not a ton of big plays, but the Steelers played tough, stayed focused, and found a way to win. If you're a Steelers fan, you've got to feel great about this one. Justin Fields had a solid performance, completing 25 of 32 passes for 245 yards and a touchdown. Yes, there was that unlucky interception where the ball bounced off a few hands and Bud Dupree came down with it. But overall, Fields made some incredible throws, ones not many quarterbacks can pull off. We already know he's dangerous with his legs too. That touchdown on the read option? Just amazing. Fields looks like a future star, no doubt. Now, with the Steelers at 3-0, they're looking strong. I don't see them losing anytime soon. They're definitely the favorites to win the AFC North, and honestly, they're shaping up to be dark horse Super Bowl contenders, especially with the way their defense is playing. Fields is fearless. He's not afraid of any defense. He just faced off against the top-ranked defense in the league and had one of his best games yet. I can't wait to see what he does for the rest of the season. The Steelers are always one of the first teams I watch on Sundays. Their defense, led by TJ Watt, is insane. And the offense? They've got Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, and Calvin Austin. Finally, we saw that huge 55-yard touchdown from Austin. He had 4 catches for 95 yards in total. The offense looked sharp. Scotty Miller also chipped in with 2 catches for 31 yards. But the highlight? One of the best throws of the week from Fields. A perfect out-route throw that could have easily been a pick six if it wasn't so on point. I still can't believe the Steelers got Fields with a 6th-round pick. That's got to be one of the biggest steals in NFL history. It's not every day you find a quarterback this good that late in the draft. As for the Steelers' run game, it wasn't their best performance. Najee had 18 carries for 70 yards, and his late-game run padded the stats a bit. Cordarrelle Patterson added 33 yards on 4 carries, but overall, the run game wasn't a major factor. Jaylen Warren only had 3 carries for 5 yards. Still, with over 100 total rushing yards, you can't complain too much, right? The real story here was Fields' arm. On the defensive side, Justin Herbert started strong, going 12 of 18 for 125 yards and a touchdown. He looked comfortable early on, but he had to leave in the third quarter. Once Taylor Heinicke stepped in, the Chargers didn't stand a chance. There's no backup quarterback who's going to come in and light up the Steelers' defense. It was game over for the Chargers after that. Honestly, I'm not sure if there's any starting quarterback right now who could have handled that situation. Once Heinicke came in, he didn't stand a chance. He took 3 sacks. Herbig and Watt were all over him, causing chaos on every play. I almost felt bad for him. The reason the Steelers' defense dominated so much is that the Chargers just couldn't run the ball. Look at the stats. J.K. Dobbins had 15 carries for just 44 yards. If you told me that before the game, I would have confidently said the Steelers would win, and they did. Gus Edwards only managed 9 yards on 3 carries, and Darius Davis had 1 good end around for 8 yards. Even Justin Herbert couldn't do anything on the ground, thanks to that high ankle sprain. He didn't have a single rushing yard. It reminded me of when the Chargers beat the Steelers a couple of years ago. Back then, Herbert was able to use his legs to escape the pocket and pick up crucial yards. This time, his lack of mobility really hurt the Chargers' offense. But let's be clear, I'm not making excuses for them. The Steelers aren't responsible for the Chargers' injuries. They're just going out there and beating the teams on their schedule, and they're doing it well. The Chargers were 2-0 coming into this game with the #1 defense, and they were strong offensively, especially in the red zone. So, this win was impressive. Anytime you beat a 2-0 team, you've got to feel good about it. The Steelers are definitely moving up in the power rankings and showing they're one of the best teams in the NFL right now. In my opinion, they're just as strong as any other 3-0 team. With this defense and Justin Fields at quarterback, the sky's the limit. Other than that, the Chargers didn't make many big plays. Their longest run was just 13 yards, and outside of the touchdown, their longest pass was that same 27 yards. The Steelers kept everything in front of them, forcing the Chargers into a lot of third and long situations. Without a run game, the Chargers became predictable, and you can't be predictable against this Steelers defense. It's the best in football. I was trying to tell Chargers fans before the game that they'd have a tough time against this defense. You can't run on them, and with Herbert's limited mobility and not the greatest receiving core, it was always going to be an uphill battle. The Steelers dared the Chargers receivers to beat them, but they just couldn't. The game stayed competitive until about the middle of the third quarter. It was tied, and it felt like it could go either way. But once Herbert got hurt and left, the game was practically over. The Steelers took control, and that was that. When we saw that incredible touchdown from Calvin Austin, it was clear Justin Fields was making play after play. For Pittsburgh, this performance was as close to perfect as you can get. Fields had his best game yet, and the Steelers completely shut down the Chargers. It couldn't have gone any better. As far as injuries go, I didn't notice any while watching the game. That's always a relief, especially heading into Week 4 against the Colts. The last time the Steelers played in Indianapolis, they lost, but that was with Mitchell Trubisky at quarterback. Justin Fields is definitely a much better quarterback. And overall, this Steelers team is way stronger than last year. They did get hot after that loss to make the playoffs, but this year's team looks night and day better. Looking ahead to the Colts in Week 4, the Steelers are in a good spot. I don't want to jump ahead too much, but this game gives me a lot of confidence in the team. The last two games were solid wins with great defense, but this one showed something special. The Steelers went up against the top-ranked defense in the NFL and held their own offensively. Scoring 20 points might not seem like a ton, but they moved the ball well, with Fields putting up 245 passing yards and the team rushing for 114 yards. That's a solid performance any day of the week. Right now, the Steelers are near the top of the power rankings, right up there with the Minnesota Vikings. From what I've seen, the Vikings and Steelers are two teams to watch closely. Both are physical, defensive-minded teams, with quarterbacks who are surprising everyone. Sam Darnold for the Vikings and Justin Fields for the Steelers are showing they can get the job done. Both teams also have strong running games and plenty of offensive weapons. For the Steelers, they've got a true number one receiver in George Pickens and one of the most reliable tight ends in Pat Freiermuth. Calvin Austin is the speedy deep threat, and Scotty Miller adds more speed to the mix. Najee Harris? I liked his performance. 18 carries for 70 yards. He was averaging under 4 yards per carry coming into this game, and while he still didn't break that mark here, I think he's due for a big game soon. The Colts have the worst run defense in the NFL, so Week 4 is the perfect time for Najee to shine. If you've got him in fantasy, start him. I don't care who else you have. He's going to go off against the Colts.